Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Hallowed Be Thy Game. Ren here. And if you're a fan of RPGs and general discussions about the games we all know and love, then you've definitely found a friend in this channel. I post at least once a week on topics from pickup videos, new releases, to just chatting about the games that have reached hallowed status in my heart. So thank you so much for watching, and today we're talking about Blasphemous and why I love the Souls series. Let's check it out. Before I get into my review and first impressions of Blasphemous, I want to take a moment to address a rather annoying aspect of any and all gaming reviews. Saying something is like Dark Souls. I understand the sentiment and the concept of wanting to give people an idea that a game is difficult, or that a game uses a bonfire progression system, or that a story is not explicitly laid out, or that there are parry and dodge mechanics in the game, or that a game uses set design to tell stories along with item descriptions. I could go on all day, but maybe you see where I'm coming from. Saying something is like Dark Souls has become meaningless. I've played a couple games that were compared to Dark Souls, and since Dark Souls is among my favorite games of all time, I purchased said games and played them. And sure, they seemed like Dark Souls, but they turned out to be dog trash imitations that don't even deserve to be in the same realm as Dark Souls. Blasphemous has achieved what so few other games have, and it has become its own thing, while simultaneously honoring the Dark Souls formula. Metroidvanias have been making a massive resurgence in popularity as of late. There are so many highly praised titles that it can be difficult to stand out and making a lasting impression. I've just recently started playing Blasphemous, and that is after the quality of life patch and free DLC version of the game has been released. That's right, I said free DLC. What a bro company, am I right? I digress. I've seen footage of what I've beaten so far in the game, and I'm about 2/3 the way through, and there is a stark contrast to the level design and easing back on the difficulty of the spike platforming sections. Jesus! But I want to state that I truly believe Blasphemous has earned the very prestigious honor of being a Soulslike Metroidvania. But what is Dark Souls to me personally? I'm glad you asked, because I feel in order to share my love for Blasphemous, I need to take some time and share what it is about the Souls series that I love that this Metroidvania encapsulated so well. Dark Souls is by no means a perfect game. However, it is a perfect game for me. Everything I love about video games can be found in this series. I feel that since I say that with confidence, Blasphemous is the most Souls-like game outside of the series itself that I've played in a long time, and I want to review Blasphemous through the lens of what I consider to comprise the Soulsborne games. Combat philosophy. Blasphemous by no means has as difficult a combat system as the Soulsborne series, but it does have the same philosophy. Now, what I mean by that is that one is a 3D action RPG and the other is a 2D Metroidvania game. Yes, there is a dodge and parry system, but Blasphemous I think is a good introduction into the system because it's extremely forgivable with parrying and dodging. I think a common consensus is that if a game has these things, then it has to be Souls-like. But that isn't what Dark Souls is about. It is about many elements that work together to comprise the whole of the genre that it paved out. Now, and maybe that's something I need to remind myself. Dark Souls was such a transformative game that it created a new combat philosophy for developers when making games along with the new genre of games itself. The combat philosophy is rewarding, yet it's simple to approach. In Dark Souls, a beginner will probably grab a sword and a shield and start turtling their way through Anor Londo. This will serve them for a while, but then they'll meet old Smo and Ornstein, and then they'll have to adapt. These combat systems are simple to approach, but then demand more improvement as the game progresses. Blasphemous adopts this combat philosophy in that when you start the game, you have everything in your arsenal that you need to complete the game. Prayers can be useful, but they are not mandatory for conquering any combat challenge in the game, and prayers kind of act like a spell usage system. However, with prayers, prayer bead buffs, and the strategy that you adapt to, you have diversity in how you want to approach each enemy and each boss. This is the combat philosophy of Dark Souls, punishing but rewarding. All too often, reviewers mistake difficulty or a difficult game, in fact, for Soulslike, but it has to be punishing, rewarding, but very importantly, well balanced. Being a good interpretation of the Souls genre has to have good combat mechanics, and for me, it will be immediately labeled heresy if it doesn't. Feeling small in an uncaring world. Blasphemous begins with the penitent one laying on a corpse pile of many silent brothers who have lost their life, and as the game progresses, you begin to realize that the penitent one has the potential for greatness, but so did many others before you. From location to location, there's just this overwhelming feeling that you are not at the top of the food chain in the world of Custodia. Zoning into a location, you get this feeling of, where is the altar? And I really hope it's close to me. Because these beautifully designed soft save points are spaced out just far enough to be a tough but fair challenge to reach. This progression mechanic, when done properly, forces me to use resources that I'm giving, like my fervor or magic bar, and health vials. And at times when you barely make it to a save point and you feel that rush of adrenaline for having survived, you begin to feel as though the world is bigger than you. A major factor for me into instilling this feeling is in the level design and lore. Blasphemous accomplishes this in spades. It takes all the haunting and unnerving aspects of sin and punishment and creates a cruel and unfeeling world around it. Bloodborne accomplishes this better than any game I've ever played. The Lovecraftian horror of being insignificant, a speck in a larger world that cares nothing of your health and safety, is at the very core of true fear for me. Blasphemous creates a world where the miracle is a cold and unfeeling godlike presence that doles out blessings and punishments at random. The unique world setting of Blasphemous bumps it into the upper echelon of Soulslike for me. The atmosphere is perfect. Story delivery. This touches on the previous point, but Blasphemous nails a very specific niche part of what makes the Dark Souls lore and story so effective, and that's how it delivers and shares its story. Blasphemous uses the world design and item descriptions to flesh out the lore of Custodia. Now, just because a game uses item descriptions to share most of the story does not immediately make it some vague work of art. However, the devs have used item descriptions in conjunction with this haunting art style and world setting to deliver their story. Dark Souls does not just use items to tell a story, but rather the areas you explore contain clues as to what happened. Let me give you an example. Blasphemous opens with the penitent one laying on a pile of corpses on the verge of death. I know there have been comics that have since explained this, but beginning a story like this immediately begs the question of, what happened? Why are we on this journey? Who are we exactly? And why do I look like a very agile pyramid head? All these questions and more are asked when we simply are exploring and seeing the haunting architectural structures scattered throughout the world. Why is this area we are in falling apart? See, to make a good Souls game, you have to do what Blasphemous does and create a world that at the very core of it is interesting. I want to know more, and that helps creating an atmosphere of feeling lost in an unfeeling and uncaring world. Progression mechanics. One of the most immediately noticeable aspects of any game that's attempting to copy Dark Souls is how you progress through the world. Progression mechanics can either make or break a game. In fact, one of the most jarring aspects for newcomers to the Souls series is the dreaded post-death run back to get your souls. The first time you just tell yourself, yeah, I'm going to run by all these things, try to survive, and I'm not fighting any of this. That is a very enlightening moment to how to play the Dark Souls games. The punishing but fair nature of Soulsborne is one of the most delicate balances, and it has to be the trickiest to get right from a game design aspect. Blasphemous walks this line extremely well and uses the world design to create such a rewarding feeling when you finally knock down a wall and find a shortcut or pull a lever and a pathway opens up to the bonfire. That feeling, folks, it's an addicting feeling, and when you find a game that does it right, cherish it, my friends. Creating opposition in a game to push back just enough to give this rewarding feeling is an accomplishment, and Blasphemous adopts and transforms this formula to astounding success with the entirety of the game design. Difficulty. It goes without saying that Dark Souls 1 through 3, Bloodborne, and Sekiro are famously difficult, but yet they're some of the most enjoyable games I've ever played. I have friends who do not typically like games that are hard just for the sake of being hard, yet they've recently really gotten into the Soulsborne games. Why is that? It's because they're not hard just for the sake of being hard, they are extremely satisfying as well. Blasphemous is not as difficult, in my humble opinion, as any of the Souls games, but I would not call this an easy game. It is difficult, but rewarding. I have seen the original version of the Pendulum Spike Pit jump area of the game, and thank God that got redesigned in the free DLC. Jesus! There are a few enemies in Blasphemous that are infuriating and beg to be dodged by, and that's just it. There's rarely a section of Blasphemous that forces you to fight overwhelming enemies that are just infuriating. The difficulty of the enemies heavily encourages you to use prayers, dodges, and parries to overcome. Once that's done, then it's smooth sailing. That rewarding nature for approachable combat is fed into a design that gives you room for a higher skill ceiling. I cannot wait to watch challenge speedruns of Blasphemous once I finish it. I just beat, and this is kind of spoilery, the creepy snake baby that gives you a very gory death if it catches you, boss. So I'm hyped to continue to discover what heresy and blasphemies that must be stamped out by the Penitent One next. Well, friends, I think it goes without saying, you should play this game. And if you love Dark Souls, then this is a fun adventure waiting for you. If you've never played a Souls game, then don't let this deter you, because this is a great entry point into the mechanical makeup of the harder Souls games. This is a work of art that will leave a lasting, if not haunting, impression on you. Incredible Metroidvania and a must-play for fans of the genre. Thank you guys so much for watching to the end of today's video. I had a lot of fun making it, but I'll tell you what, I'm ready to get right back into Blasphemous and finish it out. I've gushed about the Dark Souls, Bloodborne series today. I love them. They're some of my favorites. Have you played them? If so, which one's your favorite? Let me know down in the comments. And if you haven't played them or tried them out yet, why not? Let me know as well. Like this video if you liked it. Hit that subscribe button so we can hang out again in the future. And until then, I'll see you guys next time.